For many centuries, the uniqueness of Mark's gospel was dismissed because he was seen to focus too much on the human traits of Jesus. The need of that time was to link Jesus so strongly to the divine, and it meant that the transcendent aspects of Jesus were highlighted. The great orator and mediator, the healer and the preacher were emphasized to lift people beyond the ordinariness of their lives. People wanted to know that there was someone who was not like them in their feelings and inadequacy and insecurity. Mark seemed to present too simple an image of Jesus, too pedestrian, and was seen at the time as providing a too familiar understanding of the Redeemer. Fortunately for us, the writings of Mark have come into their own and provided a whole new relevance for the humanity of Jesus. He emphasises Jesus mixing freely and often with those who were suffering and outcast. He saw Jesus as the model of right behaviour in a world that seemed only to look to the heavens. The interaction between Jesus and the leper in today's gospel, with its strained exchanges and emotions, allows us to wonder how we might react in similar circumstances. It allows us to ask more realistically, what would Jesus do? Firstly, we see that Jesus was not deterred by suffering. He welcomes all who approach him. He touches what repels others. His loving embrace reassociated those who've been alienated. He makes sure those who've been shunned because of some physical condition or social status are brought back into the circle of the community, and that the community is made whole again. Now, when we say that Mark emphasises a very human Jesus, we see that he demonstrates human feelings and emotions. He seems to suggest that Jesus might be sometimes critical or passionate, sad, angry, impatient or fearful. Now, there's something very consoling for us when Jesus appears to respond as we might. I often wonder, did the pressure of the demanding crowds ever get to him? Did he ever get frustrated with people's limitless expectations, or annoyed when people misrepresented him or twisted his words to suit their argument? Now, Mark has no trouble believing Jesus is the Son of God, but he also portrays him in such a human light that everyone can identify with him. Immersed in the strengths and limitations of humanity, the Jesus we meet in Mark's gospel is alive, real, and struggling to be authentic. We clearly know that Jesus understood the price of suffering, but he wanted the listener to know that it was not just the suffering of the individual, but the whole community would be diminished until all were made whole and well again. And that's why Mark is such a popular gospel these days, because he appears to give the most moving account of the Lord's commitment to a broken and fragile humanity. The man who was for many years ignored has now had his insights rediscovered, like a buried treasure. And the richness of this treasure is that those who experience the tenderness and compassion of God may also know the loving touch of Christ that can heal our bodies and our souls. And it's then that we are able to most authentically participate in the cross of Christ.